This is me thinking, how could I elevate my security game 7 years ago? Either I had to work from technical drawings, something still being built or already built, and protect it using these. So the question now was, how could I do this in 3D to scale with real world results? And I got it right. Now to show you how to play the game. Hey, I'm Rudy, owner of oaktech.co.za. With over 3,000 cameras and hundreds of computers, we help people around the world combat crime and run their businesses using technology. In this course, I'm going to be teaching you how to use SketchUp to help you with your CCTV projects. I am using SketchUp Pro, which is a paid license, but you will be able to use SketchUp Free to do everything I'm going to be teaching you. Just bear in mind that if you're going to be using this for commercial purposes, you really need to buy a pro license. If you're wondering who this course is for, it's anybody that's wanting to do CCTV, from homeowners to installers to businesses wanting to upskill their technicians. You might be asking yourself, why would I need this? It's simple. It's project management at its best. From knowing what cameras to use, where to place them, covering all your blind spots, knowing your costs when it comes to cabling routes, showing your client what they're going to get without them spending a cent on cameras and labor. And lastly, saving yourself from making any mistakes. Recently, I had a meeting with a security company where they told me in their 25 years, they have never seen anything like this in the security industry. That's saying a lot. Having that said, let's jump right in. The first thing we got to do is open up Google Maps, find your site. I highly recommend that you visit, walk around, take photos, record any information, as much information as possible, so you don't have to go back to the place. That's like the worst thing, when we remember that I forgot to check this area out, now I don't see, because Google will not show everything. We need to go to site and see it. Let's see, this is a place, and just have a look around. Identify where the biggest threat is, which would be here. This is an open field, so there is nobody, no houses, nobody's going to see anybody coming from this field. That is your greatest threat. Okay, continue to have a look around. Okay, let's just go to the street view. Okay, so it's a brick wall right around. They've got electric fencing. They've got a palisade fence in the front. It dips in and doesn't align with the wall. Okay, so now let's do some measurements. What is the length of the back? Right click, measure distance. Let's just put this where it's supposed to be. Okay, put it over there. Let's click over here. Let's put it down. Okay, we've got 51.85 meters. Google is quite accurate when it comes to measurements, so don't disregard it. It's quite accurate. We got 51.85 meters. Now let's see along the sides. It's around 78 meters. That's going to give us an idea of what cameras we could or should use on this site. I've gone ahead and I've chosen two different models, two different technologies. And I'll show you here. Let's go with a thermal. This is a thermal that I do usually use. It's a 10 millimeter thermal. Very good, very accurate. And when I say accurate, analytics, when it comes to free analytics on cameras, I wouldn't say trust it, because it's free and what you pay for is what you get. It's not bad, but don't count on these analytics. There are other softwares you can use that are much better and highly reliable. So for example, I'm the leading distributor for Arteco Omnia in South Africa, and I use VCA, the Omnia VCA for this, and it's very accurate. Okay, the camera does have its own range, so I don't know if you guys have worked with Dory. If you haven't, look it up, DORI. Dory is a table that lets you know information of what you can count on when it comes to analytics. So the information that we are looking for is the recognition range. So on Hikvision's website, they usually have a lot of information. They do not have Dory here. There are some models that you'll have Dory here on the left side, other times you won't, but they should have this information in the data sheet. So just let's open up the data sheet, okay, and just skim through the document until you find Dory. Okay, so we've got VCA range for vehicles, which is 133 meters, and VCA range for humans, 48 meters. What we are looking for now is the recognition range. On the model's website, we are going to go look down here. Some models with Hikvision, Dory will appear in the menu on the left here. Other times it doesn't, but you should find it in the data sheet. And we'll just skim through looking for the Dory information. We've got two tables here. There's a range table and there's a Dory table. They've split this up. So this is the recognition that we're looking for. We're not looking for vehicles, we're looking for humans. So there's recognition here for humans, it says 71 meters. But Dory is the table we need to look at because VCA is the technology that we're using to detect humans. So here it is saying 48 meters. With this thermal camera, we are working with 48 meters. Let's now go look at the second camera. This is a color view camera, 4 megapixel. This is my preferred camera from Hikvision. You can see full color in pitch darkness. It's a brilliant camera. For me, it's one of the best things Hikvision has ever come out with. Dahua does also have something similar, but I've tested both of them and Hikvision is definitely much better when it comes to the color technology at night. This camera, let's go look. This one has the Dory information. You've got the 2.8mm lens, the 4mm lens, the 6mm lens. The 2.8 will recognize at 11 meters, 4mm will recognize at 15 meters, 6mm will recognize at 23 meters. So I would be going with the 6mm lens. Let's just go back to the map. We already know that these are the longest lengths, and then the front and the back are the shortest. So we will use the thermal cameras for the longest lengths and the color views for the shortest lengths. The less cameras you use, the better, as long as it covers everything we need to cover. Next, we're going to open up SketchUp. So I'm going to work in meters. You guys can work in whatever measurements you want to work with. Here in SketchUp, I'm just going to delete this default model here. Okay, if you've got a middle mouse button, you can click down on the middle mouse button to orbit, and you can scroll backwards to zoom out and scroll in to zoom in. Okay, you can press Shift and the middle mouse button to pan around, just so you guys can move around the model. Okay, so next step now is to go back to Google Maps. We need to now get an image for reference to work in SketchUp. We need to put our view right above our site. Try and find a straight line because this will help us with the axis in SketchUp. So what I like to do is try and get it straight, and then I will come down to the bottom of the browser just to see if it is completely straight. It's not completely, so I'll go Shift and just move it a little more straight, and that's as straight as we're going to get it. Okay, now we're going to zoom in as much as possible so we can get as much detail when we put this in SketchUp. So let's see, I think I'm just going to zoom out a little bit more because I want to see more of the areas. And next thing is to open up Snippet. which is now called the snipping tool. So I will open up snipping tool, new snip. Okay, I will select this area. Okay, we got that down. Now we're going to save it to our downloads folder. Call it whatever you need. Site, enter. Close this and back to SketchUp. You go to File, Import, select your file in the Downloads folder. Without clicking, it will be following your mouse cursor. Click in the middle, click once only, then zoom out as much as possible. Okay, that it just gives more quality to the image. Okay, and then click once again, and there, it's done. This is now much bigger. It is not to scale yet. I'm going to show you how to scale the image now. I'm just going to come around. I'm going to find the clearest and easiest place to do a measurement. I think I'm going to use these 2 points. Okay, so again, let's just go back to Google Maps and do the measuring. So we've got that corner over here, and we've got this corner over here. We've got 51.15 meters. Now let's go back to SketchUp. Right click on the image and explode. Now you're going to take the measuring tool. Okay, it's up here. You can also press T, and we're going to put the points exactly where we put on Google Maps. So it was there, and then here. Okay, you click. Now, without doing anything else, you will see down here the measurement, which is completely wrong. So just type in 51.15. This message will pop up. Do you want to resize the model? You're going to say yes. Now the model is resized. I'm going to go back to the orbit tool. You can press O and zoom out. Let's just pan and zoom down. Now we've got our model to scale. Just please note that depending on the situation and the quality of the model, you can be working off of Google Maps or a blueprint that the client has given you. You will be off 1 to 5 meters. It all depends on how well you do this. Now we've got our model to scale. We can now start creating our buildings in a basic form, but as long as we can see what we need to see, we don't need to go into finer details. You can always go into finer details if you want, but I don't think it's worth the time. I'm going to show you how to do this now. We've got this warehouse. We're going to come up here to the top to the pencil. Click on the pencil. Let's start with the first left corner of the warehouse. Come down here. Okay. And we can see that the warehouse is going over here, but that's because of the angle of the camera. This is the right way to do it. Click over there. Let's go up. Okay, it's automatically detecting the length from that one. So click there and then click there. And now we've got our first building. Press the select button up here. Select the middle. Okay. Now you can press P. Push it up. If you know the height, you can just type it in. Warehouses more or less 6 to 8 meters. Let's just make this one 8 meters. So I'm going to type 8, which appears in the bottom left, and press enter. And there we've got 8 meters. Now we'll go to the next building. Let's make this building about 4 meters. Okay, zoom out. We now have our buildings. Now our boundary walls. In SketchUp Free, you cannot use plugins like in SketchUp Pro. In SketchUp Pro, there's an extension that we can use, which is called 1001 Bit Tools. This allows us to create walls much faster. If you are using the free version, you're just gonna have to do it manually. Let's create a box. This follows now the axis because we did everything straight in Google Maps and put it on the axis right. That's why this box is coming out nice and straight. So let's create this wall. Let's make it there. Okay. So we've created the wall. Let's now pull it up. The wall should be about 2 meters. So 2 meters. Press 2 and then enter. Now obviously the wall is not going to be this thick, so let's just make it a little thinner. Okay, got a thinner wall, that's fine. That is the hard way to do the walls. I'm going to now use the bit tools. So coming up to the top, once you've installed the extension, build vertical walls. Press it. So wall thickness, we got 15 centimeters and a height of 3 meters. Let's just make this 2 meters. Okay, and let's just make this 10 centimeters thick and hit build wall. So we did create this a little short. Let's just grab the pull tool again and pull it out here. Okay, let's just over there. Okay, then back to the wall tool. Skip my settings, build wall, and let's start from here. Okay, as you can see, much easier. And we're going to go all the way down here. Okay, follow the line of the wall, and let's just stop here. You click once and then you follow around here. Okay, and that's where the palisade starts, so we click once again. Now there's a tree in the way, we're gonna have to guess. It should be around there. Click once, palisade over there, click again. Click, follow the wall over there, click. Now, last wall, all the way to the top. Now, the last wall, we're going to double click so we can end it. Double click. And there we go. There's the rest of the boundary wall. Next, we're going to move on to creating the camera views. We're going to start with the thermal camera. So we go back to Edge, where we've got information for our thermal camera. So let's just go back to the spec sheet and remember. So our VCA range is 48 meters. Okay. And then we are working with the thermal module, not the optical module. This camera is a bifocal camera with 2 lenses. And thermal is what we're using with our analytics. So field of view, got 15.96 horizontal and 12 vertical. Okay, spec sheet once again, 48 meters length. Okay, now back to SketchUp, find an empty area so we can work with. And then go up to the top to the pi tool. So you click this arrow here, press pi, and work off the straight line. We need to work with 48 meters. Okay, so as you can see on the bottom left, it is telling you how long your line is. You can just push this up to wherever you need, and we know it's 48, so just type in 48 and enter. Now the next step is for the angle. Let's just go back to Edge, and we need an angle of 15.96. Again, just move a little bit, and 15.96, enter. Okay, and then we've got our horizontal edge. Now we got to work with vertical. Back to edge, and vertical is 12 degrees. We've already got the length down, so now we're going to click here. But before we click, this is working on a flat plane. We need it for it to go vertical. Press the left arrow key, and now it's going to work in vertical. Click on that edge, go to this edge, click again, and go down, and now type in 12 and enter. And there we go. There's our vertical edge. Let's go back to the select tool. Now we need to create the other side. Double click in the middle. It will select all the edges. Press the Q button. Okay, and we do want it in this way. Press in the beginning, press again in the end. Press the control key so we can duplicate. Okay, you'll see there's a plus sign there. Now we just move to the other edge, it'll snap, click, and there, we've done the other side. Now, we don't need to do the same thing for the bottom. We just go up to the line tool, click on that edge, click on that edge, and there, we've got the whole view of the camera. Okay, and we're not done yet. Now, select tool up at the top, triple click so we can select the whole model, and group. Okay, now we've got this grouped. For us to see better and see through the model, if we leave it on solid color, it's just gonna occupy the map. Let's go to the bucket tool for painting up at the top. Let's just choose a color. So since this is thermal, I like to use gray. So I will use gray, and then I will paint it gray, then come back to the materials, press edit, come down to opacity, double click where it says 100, type in 50, enter, and now we've got the view transparent. So we now have our thermal camera. This is pretty exact. What you'll see it covering in the model is what this camera is going to cover in real life. So now we're going to do the color view camera's angle. Back to edge. Okay. This is the color view camera. And we're going to go down to the lens. 6 millimeters. And we've got a 58 horizontal angle. And then the door information, 6 millimeter. The range is 23 meters. Just a tip, open up sticky notes while you're getting this information, otherwise you're just going to go bounce back and forth. So I'm just going to open up sticky note. Okay, so the information I'm wanting is the horizontal, so H is 58, and then the recognition is 23 meters. Okay, and then vertical, we've got 31 degrees. Recognition is also 23, but that'll be my default. We won't have to do that because we're working off of the horizontal. So back to SketchUp, find an empty space, go back to the pie. Okay, and we said it was 23, enter, and back to our sticky note, 23 by 57 angle, 57, and enter. And then we've got that angle. Now we are working with vertical of 31. So again, remember, we want to work in a different angle, so we're going to left arrow, click there, and there we go. Select tool, double click, so we can have the whole angle. Now we're going to press Q. Okay, tap there, and then press Control so we can duplicate the angle, move it to the other corner. Okay, gonna zoom in and close this off with the bottom, go up to the line tool, click there and click there and there. We've got our new angle. Go back to the select tool, triple click so we can get a whole camera view, right click, make a group. Now back to the bucket, so for coloring, now we're gonna select, so it's in the materials, select, I like to use green. Let's go to green, color in the view, go back to the materials, go to edit, double click on the opacity number and press 50 for 50%, enter. Now we've got a transparent view. As you can see, we can see right through them. Let's create a pole. The walls are, we said, were 2 meters. The walls do have electric fencing on top, so let's make the poles 3 meters high. Let's just make a simple pole. Click on the edge of the camera view, zoom in, just make a small pole by selecting and then pressing P. You can click in the middle, pull up, and we said we wanted 3 meters, so just type in 3 and then enter. Now we've got 3 meters. Let's just make this a little thinner by using the pull tool. So I'm going to pull it there and pull it there. Let's group this together. Triple click, right click, and then make a group. We now need the same pole for the color view. Let's press M, come down to the bottom. The M is for the move tool. We're going to press Control, click on the one corner of the pole, and now we've duplicated it. We've only clicked once. We're going to move to the color view, come to the corner of the color view and click, and there we go. Next step is to move the view up. So let's use the edge. Now you can go further and design a camera, or you can go to the warehouse and download a bullet camera from Hikvision, and then place the view on top of that camera. That will be for another video. Let's just keep it simple for now. It's still effective. So we're going to go to the corner, move, and we're going to bring it up to the top. Okay, and now we're going to do the same thing, zoom out for the color view. Before we do the same thing, press the select tool or spacebar. Sometimes the spacebar doesn't work, so you're going to have to press the select tool. This time it worked. Shift click on the pole. Now right click and group. Now everything's in the same model. Come back to the color view camera. Let's go to the point, focal point, and bring it up. There we go. So select tool, shift, and click on the pole, right click, group, make a group. Okay, we've got our cameras selected. Next step is to now plot the cameras. So what you'll see now is that the 3D is actually going to tell you how many cameras you're going to need by plotting them down and covering the blind spots. You will end up finding out how many cameras of each you will need. Now we're going to go ahead with plotting the cameras. So when plotting cameras, you can either do it, you should do it anti-clockwise or clockwise. By doing it that way, you will always be covering every camera by the previous camera. So you are protecting each camera's blind spot from behind or from the side. So let's start with the first thermal camera. Come down to the pole, click on that corner, and I'm going to zoom out. come to the first corner. Let's zoom in, let's move here, and put it in the corner. Just gonna zoom out. Okay, so as you can see, camera's looking at the wrong way. We're gonna press Q for the rotating tool. Okay, no, we don't want that angle, so let's just press the up arrow. Okay, click once, then click a second time, and then you just move. As you can see, let's just zoom out so we can get a better view of what the camera is going to be seeing. Zoom out. Okay, now in this situation we have a neighbor. Unless the neighbor says it's okay to hang your camera onto his side of the property, then we'll have to have an angled pole so we can see on the other side of the wall. So when it comes to perimeter protection, we should be looking on the outside to detect them. We don't want them already inside. But you're going to have situations like this where we don't have a choice. The neighbor is probably not going to like having the camera on their side, so we're going to have to work on the inside. Make the angle of the thermal, the first thermal, as in line with the wall. Okay, so once you have it in line, click, and there we go. Now don't forget, it's not completely up against the wall, so we need to move. Press the M key. Let's just go to this corner and bring the pole to this corner. Too much. Okay, and there we've got our first thermal. And now this is going to actually tell us where we need the next one. Let's just bring another camera. Let's click this little corner over here. Press Control so we can duplicate. Then press the right arrow key so it just follows a straight line, making it easier for us. Okay, and we're going to come down here, and I'm going to explain something now. We are not going to plot the camera here. So as you can see, we've already got information. This here is a blind spot. This is where the VCA analytics ends. So in theory, after this view, the analytics is not going to pick somebody up. Therefore, we're not going to pick up anybody in this blind spot. So what we're going to do now is we're going to grab this corner where it hits the ground, and we're going to move it backwards. Okay, we're going to move it so it's in line with this area, and there. We've now covered the blind spot. We're safe. But we now know we need 2 cameras on this wall, and it will detect right to the bottom and beyond. But obviously there will be a wall in the way. We now put a color view camera over here. Okay, you might find that you can't get it down there because we've got the previous camera's view. So just click it so we can drop it. Let's click on the previous view, right click, and just say hide. Okay, so now we can carry on working. Let's grab the bottom of this pole again. Click, zoom out. Now we can go to edit, top left, go to unhide and press all or last. Follow the order that you've hidden things. So I'm just going to say all. We are now on the side of the field. This is where the greatest threat is, so we shouldn't be looking on the inside, we should be looking on the outside. We're going to have to give this pole an angle. So we'll double click. Remember, this is grouped, so you're going to have to double click to go back in. Then you've chosen the pole. Now we're going to double click into the pole. Now we're going to go and grab the pencil tool. Let's just create a line here across. Press P to pull this out. Let's make this 50 centimeters, which is the usual size to hang over a wall. 0.5, enter, and there is the 50 centimeter hangover. Spacebar, escape, so we can come out of the model, and there you can see it's hanging over the wall. Now let's just go back in so we can move the view into place. Let's move it across here. Let's just put it here in the middle. Q to rotate. As you can see, being straight is not going to see everything. So let's just move this camera back because we've got enough space to do that. Let's move it to here and then rotate again. And there. Now it's aligned with the wall. Okay, and this is what you will do in real life to this camera. So by following the 3D in real life, you'll have exactly what you have in the 3D, so you know what to expect. So spacebar, escape, so we can come out of the model. There we go. Okay, and there's our first camera in the back. Now we can already see that 2 cameras is not going to be enough. And this goes back to what I said before. The 3D will end up telling you what you need to do, how many cameras are going to be needed. So let's put another one. Control, move to the side. Okay, and we're going to put the blind spot underneath so the previous camera can cover the blind spot. And then control again because we're going to need another one. And there's the back covered. Right now, I'm seeing that I don't think I should have 3 color view cameras in the back. I should actually put another thermal camera. But let's just look at how long this side is again. It's 52. Okay, and then the analytics of the thermals is going to go to 48. If I had to put another thermal in the back here, I would have to put a color view probably on the building to cover the blind spot. Why would I also do this? The cost of 3 cameras, 3 poles, extra cable, more labor would probably come up more expensive than putting in 1 thermal and 1 color view in the corner. You would have to explain this to your client, ask him for his opinion. He might say, you're the professional, you tell me. So you would go and say, okay, I'm going to put another thermal in, it's going to save you and it's more effective because we're looking for body heat. That would be the solution. With a thermal in the back here, just take note, thermal is looking for heat. This ground is burnt. We always have to tell the clients to cut the vegetation so it's not in the way of the camera and not impacting the analytics. When it comes to thermal, you don't want the ground to be hot, because it's going to be, say you set the camera to black and white is hot. If somebody steps into a ground that is also hot, it's going to be white. So the person is actually going to disappear into the image. What I usually tell my clients is when you cut the vegetation, leave the vegetation lying on the ground because it won't get that hot. So when somebody walks over it, you're going to see their heat. Keep that in mind. In order not to duplicate the work, we've already got 2 thermals here. Select one, press Control, select the other one, press the Q, select the pole, press Control, swing it right around, 180. Okay, now we've got those 2. Let's grab the pole now with the M tool and let's plot it here. And there we go. Both thermals are in its place, aligned with the wall. Now you can see that both the thermals will see down this corridor and will detect. It's that time, and I'm not going to say the most irritating thing on YouTube. So, by the way, I hope you're enjoying this course. It is available on Udemy, where you will get 1 hour of one-on-one time with me so I can help you with the course or with any project that you're working on. You can find the link in the description down below, and that'll help me create more content like this to help you. Now let's jump back in. Let's just grab these 3. Q, click control to rotate so we can duplicate 180. Let's grab this pole now and put it in the front here. Okay, we're gonna have to just move the views a bit. So let's just select this one, double click to go into the model. Let's bring the view back to here and then rotate it once again to align with the wall. Okay, align with the wall. Space, escape to come out. Now that one is aligned. We are going to need another camera. We're going to need to put one here where I've already previously put a pole so we can cover the gate. So if somebody comes through here, gets a detection, they might have crossed this already, they're at the gate and we don't have the view. So we're going to need another camera to view the gate. Then this camera can actually come here on the inside and that will cover that. This is the kind of situation you're going to have to explain to the client if he wants to put another camera to fully cover this blind spot. But the odds of somebody coming in through there and not being detected as soon as he moves left or right, it's very little. So discuss it with your client. What does he want to do? Do we put another camera up so we can cover this blind spot or not? The area is so small, we don't need the 6mm view. We should go with the 2.8. You guys have already been taught how to create the views. So you go back to Equation's website, look at the horizontal, look at the vertical, look at the dory, the recognition range, and create your view. I've already previously made a 2.8, so I'm just going to grab it and put it in place. The 2.8 has a very wide angle. It's 108 degrees. So you could literally just turn it right here and everything is covered. Now that we've done that, we've actually seen that the blind spot has become even less. So the chances of somebody getting through here without being detected is very, very hard. Now, this is a 6mm. We're probably going to end up fixing this blind spot by not using the 6mm. So double click, I'm going to delete this view and I'm going to go grab the 4mm, and there we go. We've fixed the blind spot. No extra cameras needed. Changed the one camera to a 2.8, changed the 6mm to a 4mm, which means the blind spot is less, and now it's completely covered. So in the front, we are actually using 4 cameras in the front. And again, 3D is now telling me something else. Yes, we fixed this blind spot, but we've created another one with a 4mm. Same situation, very hard for this person not to be detected just by moving slightly. But the risk is there and you have to tell your client about it. If he's comfortable with it, he signs off, you're good to go. We could play around again some more with this. Again, we could put thermals in the front, and just like the back, it would be a good idea, and we would have one color view on the side of this building to cover this blind spot and also the blind spot of the thermal down here. So one color view would take care of this issue. And in fact, we do need to fix this issue. So automatically we would need another camera here. So let's just grab this pole, 2.8mm. We don't need a 4 or a 6. Control, and there we go. Fixed. There's something else that I forgot to mention. We need to create this in layers so we can hide things when we need to and to have more structure. Layers is on the menu on the right and it's called tags. It used to be called layers, now it's called tags. Everything in this model is underneath the untagged layer tag. So I'm just going to create one, let's say Google Maps. I'm going to click on the map and I'm going to come to Entity Info. it says untagged, I'm going to move it to Google Maps. Okay, so now if I wanted to hide it, I could just hide it like that. When you see this pencil over here, that means it's a default layer that you're working on. You can't hide the default layer. If you try, this message will come up. When you're working on a layer, if you know you're going to be building more things in that layer, click the pencil, and whenever you work and put more objects into that layer, it will stay in that one. Just don't forget to then move back when you're creating other things like camera views. So I'm going to make one. Okay, I'm going to select, actually let me rename this to color view views, enter. I'm going to select all the color view cameras, come to entity info, change it to color view views. Okay, now I can hide all of these cameras and I'm seeing only the thermals. And now we're going to create the thermal views. Okay, same thing, select all the thermal cameras, move it to thermal views, and now we can hide the thermals. Okay, and you can go further, you can create another tag for the buildings, put the buildings in there if you want to see something else. And that's about it. I'm going to give you another tip. One of the hardest things that we're going to do and quote on is actually cabling. If the client has given you, like for example, a blueprint and you know where the cabinet's going to be with the NVR or a server, you can then create lines from the cameras in order to know how much cable you're going to need for this project. This is very, very useful and you will love it. If you guys have done installations, know the mission it is to know what the cable is. You don't want to overcharge your client for cable that he's not going to need. You don't want to underquote because then the cost is going to sit on you. You have to go and buy the cable now because the client paid for the quote. Let me give you just a simple example. Say we're going to cable this pole straight across the floor, just as an example. Okay, I'm going to hide this thermal here. Now let's just create a tag for cabling. Okay, I'm now going to put the pencil on the cabling, so when I create a line, it's going to fall into that tag. Pencil, let's just zoom in here. And if we want to go really technical, let's come up here. This is where the camera is going to go. Let's start our cable from here down to the bottom. Let's go across over there, and let's say there's a second story and the cable is going to come up the wall and then inside. That's our cable. For us to find the cable easier on the screen, let's just paint it, let's say orange. Usually I use orange for fiber, but let's just use it for here. When you apply a color and you don't see it reflect on the screen, you're going to have to come to the side menu here on the right, come to styles, click on edit, and make sure you click on edge settings. And then when you come to the bottom, it says color and it says all the same. Click there and say by material. And now the color reflects. Let's just take Google Maps off, thermals off. Let's just select that, and that. Now, if we come to the top right, here's the length of this cable, 27.73 meters. What you could do is say you've actually cabled the whole 3D model, hide everything. All you're going to see is the cabling. Select all the cabling, and on the top right here on the entity info, it'll tell you how much cable is there. Now you know how much cable you're going to need, but don't just use that value. Remember, It depends on how you did your model. Remember the ins and outs, ups and downs, under the ground, that all counts. And if you don't put that into the model, you won't get that information. So try and do as much as you can on the model, and even then add 20% to the cable. So you should be safe. 2 last tips. We just plotted the cameras like we designed them. Don't forget that this top angle here, this is the top of the camera. Okay, so we're not going to leave this straight. So just like we're going to do in real life, we should simulate it in 3D. I'm not going to have the camera pointing straight because I'm looking at information that is not going to help me with anything. I don't need to see something up here. I need to concentrate down here. I'm going to angle this view like it should be in real life. Let's turn this down. I need to concentrate at least until the top of the wall. As you can see, if you point the camera down, look at the left. As you go down, the blind spot decreases. You will recover blind spot by turning cameras down. I'm going to put it to there because that's how it's going to be in real life. I do not need to see straight. I need to look down. And you will do this with all the cameras. You will decrease the blind spots by doing this too. Tip number 2. You want to see a top view of your model. Just come up to the top here. You'll have these icons for different kinds of views. Top, just click it, zoom out, and there you have the top view that you can share with your client and explain the project and show how everything's going to work, what the cameras are going to see, what's going to be detected, and you are showing and proving how you are securing his premises. I hope you've enjoyed this course, and if you want to learn how to put this model into virtual reality like this, let me know in the comments down below. Be safe and see you in the next one.